Welcome, everyone, to episode 322 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Josh Pantelleresco. I write stuff and podcasts, too. Today, Nicole Bross joins the podcast. Nicole, I met her. I saw her at One Worlds Collide as well. She had her typewriters. Like she's a big typewriter enthusiast, and that's where we kind of started our conversation. And I went to some interesting places afterwards. Nicole's awesome. She was fun to chat with, and I wish her nothing but continued success in her books. So beyond that, hey, I started my newsletter up again, so there will be a campaign link so you can get my latest newsletter, and you can just like and subscribe it. New column be up this Thursday. I'm actually getting interviewed quite a bit this week, which is going to be a lot of fun. Jennifer Cochran's interviewing me tomorrow, and I'm getting interviewed, of course, by Joe Compton on Friday. It's going to be a blast. As you know, getting ready for my own next book, so it's been kind of a fun ride. All right, I think let's just get to the conversation. Talk more at the end.
Think you have what it takes to survive? Then get your ass to Mars. Get Your Ass to Mars is the latest simulation sensation courtesy of Indie Imprint. You are pitted against the hostile nature of Mars. Can you survive and pave the way for future colonists? Or will you succumb to the many pitfalls and obstacles in your way? Get Your Ass to Mars, the Dragon Edition, is available now on PC and Steam. Go to indieimprint.com for more details.
So, Nicole, if you got anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
Oh, wow. I used to steal office supplies for my work.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd get an honest confession out of that.
There it is.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's the worst thing I've never shoplifted.
No, that's good. No, well, I've worked at places where people did a lot worse. They weren't paid enough money, and here's the thing: if an employee is not paid enough, they take their money in other ways.
Oh, of course. Yeah. They think it's owed to them, and
it's just work. Like I understand it's not a good attitude to have, and it's a very toxic environment in a workplace when it's like that. But some workplaces create those things. But anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's all right.
So, look, I think the thing that caught my eye with you is you have like an incredibly a love affair with typewriters.
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
You do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I met Nicole at the autograph sessions, and I see her with this typewriter, which I really popped for. And then she says, like, what, 20 more of those at home or something like that?
Yeah, I have 19.
19.
Yeah, typewriters.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing wrong with that. I collect comic books. You collect typewriters,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. But why? Like, if you don't mind my asking, where did that love affair with that come from?
Part of it's my writing background, obviously. It's like writing related, but I'm fascinated by just kind of like the way they work. Like it's this incredibly complex machine. It works entirely on gravity. It's got so many different moving parts, and they all work together just like beautifully in this big system. It's like the way a lot of people feel about cars.
Yeah.
They like to really get into learning about how a car works. It's kind of how I feel about typewriters.
Well, I was wondering if it was also the satisfying thing. Like, one thing I miss about a typewriter is like when you get to the part where you get to the end, you get to turn it back. Yeah, I love that. Like,
yeah,
that's the coolest. It's the coolest part about a typewriter, right? But it's also like back in the day when writers were trying to get into the short story magazines, right? They would use typewriters all the time to type their manuscripts out, right? So it was a regular part of a writer's life until very recently. Well, it's still a regular part of your life, but is it just the machine itself, or do you use them?
I use them, but not to write books. So things like when the Tooth Fairy comes to my house, the Tooth Fairy writes a little letter to my kids on a typewriter, by jumping up and down on each individual key one at a time. So
that's awesome.
Little things like that. And my daughter actually, she has a pen pal that lives in Saskatoon. So she'll, just for fun, to be different, she'll type out a letter to her pen pal. So they do get used. Some of them are in various states of disrepair right now.
What's your favorite one?
It's like picking a favorite child.
But see, that's the collector. Like, this is my inner collector going. I bet you do have ones you are fond of.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of different answers. So the purple one that you saw is one of my favorites. It's in really good working condition. It's from 1929. It's a Remington Portable 3. It even has a purple ribbon, so I can type with purple ink. So I really like that one. It's just working so well considering it's like 90 years old. And I also have a few that have different typefaces. So I have one that types in italic, and I have one that types in cursive.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and one that types in like this robot kind of font. So I think my other favorite is the one that types in cursive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a Royal.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you don't use them for writing, but I mean, you use them, as you said, for everyday kind of purposes.
Yeah.
Right. But so you've always been fascinated with the machine. Like, did the typewriters tie into you getting into writing, or is it the other way around?
No, I'd been writing long before I started buying typewriters. I had known that I wanted one for a while, and then I saw one on Kijiji for $20, and I drove up to Chestermere to get it because it was like $20 and it's olive green. And yeah, that kind of was like started everything off. At first I thought like, oh, it would just be nice to have one, on the table or whatever. And then I saw another one, on eBay, and then I saw another one, and then people started sending me links to typewriters, and it's become
it's your thing now.
It's my thing, yeah. And the thing with like the different fonts really became a bit of an obsession with me. Like I have some, rare white whale type things that I would like spend a significant amount of money on if I found it, because
actually I'm curious what it is, because I'll tell you mine in comics. So
I did recently acquire one of them. It's a typewriter in a really rare font called Blackletter. It's like that old kind of Germanic.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it works with a stylus, so you don't type it with keys. You have a stylus, and you point it at the letter, and then you hit a button. And then you point it at another letter and hit a button. So
wow.
It's this really bizarre machine with this incredibly cool font.
Wow.
And then another one that I'd really like to see on my shelf is it's called like a learning typewriter. So the keys are different colors depending on which finger you're supposed to use to type. So it's like a teaching typewriter. And I'd really like to get one of those. And then other than that, I mean, a while ago I bought a typewriter that was on the show Lost. Lost?
Yes.
So in one of the episodes in season 4, in one of the characters' office in a yurt, they had a typewriter as a prop, and now that's my typewriter. So that's like another kind of cool.
That should be in your About the Author bio. She types with a Lost typewriter. Right?
Yeah.
It's actually a cool neat little fact.
Yeah, it's one of a kind, right?
Yeah.
And I used to love that show when it was on.
I loved the first couple seasons. I thought it lost itself a little. Like no pun intended.
Yeah.
It lost itself along the way. Like I know when shows usually take about a season to find their voice. So I usually the first season it can be really good, but they're still like seeing what sticks on the wall with the spaghetti, right?
Figuring out their characters.
Yeah. And the second season, I thought they had a really good concept, but I think the third and fourth they kind of lost their it felt like the writing changed, something changed in the production, and it changed the show.
It definitely went a bit sideways when they got into the kind of deeper, not conspiracy aspect, but like the whole thing with like the secret government agency and all that. I did like it better when it was a lot more mysterious and like, what is this smoke cloud? Why is there a polar bear? Like, what's the mysterious numbers?
Because honestly, that was the best part about it. Right. The show's big success was when it's much like the X-Files in this one sense.
Yes.
The mysteries were better than the answers.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But then they also had to deliver the answers.
Well, they had to. You have to deliver an answer, but when you deliver it, like, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
That's like a show like that. That's the thing, right? Once you deliver them, unless you have something really, really good to build to, and that's usually right. The answers are the climax. So.
Yeah.
That is what it is, right? So.
Yeah.
But
so what's your comic book White Whale?
All American Comics number 8. It may not actually exist anymore.
Oh.
It may not. It's the first. Oh, it's number 10. Sorry.
Okay.
It's the first appearance of Green Lantern. I'm a huge Green Lantern nerd. I loved even the old Alan Scott before all the weird blue aliens took over and it became a police corps.
Okay.
It was in the 30s, it was a guy that found a lantern that Marina made wishes that was vulnerable to wood. It was a darker, it's a really cool, even back then it was a really cool concept. In the 60s they changed it up, but I would still get that because I got everything from like 1960
I want to say 68 on. I have things in 64, 65, 66.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, like that's
your thing. Yeah.
That's my thing. So that's the one where I go, shut up and take my money, and I just
Totally, yeah. And it's like so completely pointless, but it makes us so happy.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's not about big things in this life, it's about little things, right? It's always about little things. So the little things that may give us joy, right? The quest to find, like if I ever complete, like I would be honestly totally happy if I have everything from the Silver Age, and I'd be very happy with that. That is all I had, because the Golden Age that gets expensive, like really expensive.
Oh yeah.
But if I did, but that's the dream, right? We all have those little like dreams, and also sometimes they come true, and that's the best. Like, without those little joys, life would be unbearable.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
for sure. And the other thing with typewriters, I guess for me, is knowing that like in case of the apocalypse or in case of like complete societal collapse, I can still write.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a lot of ribbons. I've got a lot of
I write with a unicorn pen.
Oh yeah.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
I think did I bring it? I did not. I'm sorry. I had them.
You built it up and then you just let me down.
Yeah. You just look at my profile picture. You can actually see it.
Okay.
Yeah, look at my profile picture.
So you like handwrite?
Yeah, I do. Because about a few years ago, I had a really weird sickness. To describe it is bizarre, but for whatever reason, when I was around technology, I get itchy and things. And like I said, the things that came out of me, you would not believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went back to pen and paper for a bit. I still use it because it also hits a different part of the brain.
Yeah.
So I look at it kind of like, okay, when I write a story, I'm now coming at it from two angles, right? I'm not coming at it from just one, because I'm using two different parts of my brain. So I'm writing out. So writing, I make myself all the big messes I want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I'm right now dealing with weird temptations of the gods in my young adult novel that may or may not actually make the book. I'm not really worried about that right now. I know kind of where the story is. This is all the middle filler, like what works here, what won't work here, and right. But when I get to the typing stage, I take all that stuff and I go, okay, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? Does this work?
Yeah.
And I type up what I feel is actually good.
Yeah.
And then I leave the rest there, but it doesn't matter. Like I give myself the freedom to make a mess. Right?
Okay.
Right? I give myself that freedom of the first draft. And then, although technically my first draft, if you want to include the computer, it's like 1.5. It's like I've done 2 drafts instead of 1.
Totally. Yeah.
Right? So I'm a little ahead, right? I've thought about the story like once as purely for fun. And then the second time, just it's more of, okay, how to make this actually work. Because there is a formula to constructing the story.
Yeah.
Right? But the best parts are always when I find when you build them.
Yeah. So do you like track any sort of metrics when you're handwriting, like like how many words per hour you can do, or what your average?
If I handwrite, okay, this novel like I've been writing, when I don't like, here's the thing, I've been doing it in short bursts, right. But when I do short bursts, I've gone anywhere. My shortest is 4 pages. Yeah. My max is 20.
Okay, so you do it by page. Not
but on average, I did the math on, I average a page is about 300 words.
Yeah.
So if you do the math on that, that is not a small.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not a small number,
yeah.
Right? I've already into the second notebook with this current novel. So the first notebook was 100 pages. If you figure that out, right?
Yeah. So that's 30,000 words.
Right there. Notebook. Yeah. That's an average.
Yeah,
some are more, some are less. I'm probably right now at about the 50,000-60,000 range right now, and I'll probably be 80,000-90,000, and I'll probably cut 40 and then add my 20. Like,
totally. Yeah.
Right. But that's how it works. Like for me, it's tactile. Like the reason why the typewriter thing is interesting, because again, typewriters do not feel like computers.
Yeah.
Right. Typewriters actually feel very physical. There's almost a. I feel in some ways it's better built for people, because yes, it's got some inconveniences to it, but for all of that though, it always feels nice to hear the key hit the board. There's
click.
Yeah, you get that click. There's something very satisfying to hearing that.
Yeah.
And so you do that. You do that for a not like again, and then when you go type it, I'm imagining on a computer, when you actually put it on a computer, it's almost the same thing. You get like 2 very different perspectives on the same story.
Yeah. So you can actually buy like Bluetooth enabled typewriter keyboards now that will hook up to, most people do it with an iPad.
Yeah.
So you get that kind of tactile feeling, but you can also do something like use the backspace or
Oh yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's pros and cons to both machines, right? But
it's a really cool kind of in between.
And which I might actually do now that you've told me that, because I do have I have a new tablet if I'm going to do that, but still.
Yeah. Tela is the name of the company that does it.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. So, is that what you do?
I have. It's a good travel option.
Yeah.
It's a bit lighter than like my full laptop.
Yeah.
But it's more of a novelty. Really.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
Yeah.
So, what stories do you like to tell, and why did you get into writing?
Well, I've always been writing.
Yeah.
Like I was one of those people that was like writing novels, quote unquote, in early grade school. Like I remember in grade 5, I'd written this whole like mystery adventure book in our writing period, and like other kids in my class wanted me to read it to the class, so I spent like 4 of our reading periods over the next 2 weeks.
That's really cool.
Reading my mystery story, and it was like the only time in my entire elementary school period that I felt like I was, popular or interesting. Because I was always like the real quiet kid.
I've learned this I know this now that I've gotten older. Everybody's interesting, right? But you don't feel that way when you're in elementary school.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I mean, we moved a lot when I was younger, every 2 years or so.
I can relate.
So I was always starting over again with new kids.
So if you don't mind, where are you from?
I was born in Edmonton, and then we moved out to Ontario and moved around a bit there. And then
whereabouts in Ontario?
Sarnia.
I know exactly where you are. I used to live in London, Ontario.
Okay, yeah, and then lived in Toronto for a while, Thornhill, and then came to Calgary and stayed here, went to school away for a while, came back. So yeah, I kind of bounced around a lot.
I'm originally from Ontario.
Yeah.
I lived in the States a little bit as well, in Detroit. I lived in Windsor, London, like all southwestern Ontario. Toronto's my least favorite of all the cities out there, personally, but I see why people like it, I see why people don't, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Right, and then I came out here, so like we all have those wonderful journeys sometimes.
Yeah, but it was hard for me as a kid moving because like I was kind of shy and quiet, and we would always move in the middle of the school year. So it would be like November, and here's Nicole standing at the front of the class, and all the other kids, like, they've already got their friends and everything. So writing was like an escape, I guess, or something that
it helps deal with the fact that everything was constantly on the go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Because when you're like that, because I've certainly been in that position, November, December, January, like whenever the case may be, right? You always end up you're always kind of the outsider, especially at first. So you might be able to make friends easily, but even if you did, it's never quite the same because you're not part of that group that's always been there.
Exactly. These kids that have known each other since kindergarten, basically, and they're that's their group, and it's really hard to break into that.
Yeah. So I mean, so you write and so you've always written.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So originally it was an escape. So then when it becomes like I want to actually write books.
I tried to write a book in high school. It was horrible, and it will never see the light of day, and it doesn't exist anymore. It's like on a hard drive that went to the recycling depot, and I'm so glad.
You want to hear my awful one?
Yeah.
I'll hear you my awful one. So I'm looking for it because I don't think I have it anymore, but I really want to find it. I had this idea about writing this story about this dolphin sailor I wrote like when I was 8.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the mistake I made. I made the mistake of trying to say, what would be really cool? This is my 8-year-old brain. What if the dolphins actually talk like they did and I'm going to hear them on TV? The problem with that is you do that, you don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
It was one of those, it seemed good on, well, pun intended, it seemed good on paper. The reality is there's a much different story, but Creative Inc. in Vancouver they have this event where you read your worst stuff. Right?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
It's fun. What I want to do, this is what I want to do. If I can find that, right, I'm going to actually go up there, read it, and whenever I get to the dolphin voices, do kung fu translations. Right? Because here's the thing. We all, let's be honest, even the best of us there are things we write, like even my current draft. I know there are things I'm going to read in about like a month or so when this is done. Go,
like, what the hell?
Yeah. We all have those.
Oh,
it's part of the filter, right?
Yeah, it's the process.
Yeah. So I mean, but if you're going to go up, I figure you own your badge. Like this is I am
for sure
proud.
Yeah.
Quotation marks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess though, like going back to what you said, like my first serious attempt at a novel was 2011 NaNoWriMo. So, and I did it. I won. I wrote my 50,000 words, and that again is like in a drawer. I don't think it'll ever see the light of day. That's fine. But it showed me that even though I had a toddler and a preschooler, and I was working, and I had like home responsibilities and all of that, like I still actually had time to write, instead of this narrative in my head all this time that like, oh, you can't do it, you don't have time, you're too busy. And then I banged out 50,000 words in a month.
So first off, high five.
Yeah.
All right, number one. Number two, it's my favorite thing. Like I realized something a couple of years ago. People do exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
Always. That's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
So you don't. Again, you have priorities. That totally makes sense,
Totally.
Right? But you can find time for you.
Well, for sure. And it showed me what sacrifices were necessary to find that time. So I basically gave up watching TV for good. The time that I had spent watching TV instead turned into writing time.
Yes.
And that's where the time lay. And since then, I don't watch TV anymore. We cut our cable years ago. We still have Netflix. The kids watch it, I think. We're paying for it, so I hope so.
My author bias is I'm not mature enough for Netflix. Because the thing is, it's a time thing. Like I actually just screwed up. I've been playing video games for the first time in a long time, and I played Persona 5. That game's crack, right? But when this game's gone, I put it away and I don't touch the video game system for months. That's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
I give myself enough room for some enjoyment somewhere, but I can't do Netflix. Daredevil, I binge watched Daredevil. I was like, okay, this was a good show.
Yeah.
I binge watched Kill la Kill. If you don't know what that is,
I don't.
It's a very interesting anime. It starts off like a classic battle anime and it gets weird.
Okay.
It's not good.
Okay.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
I decided.
You just regretted?
Yeah. Well, no, it was 26 episodes.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you recognize the thing about Netflix is, here's the thing, it's easy to keep going. You have to actually you have to actually make yourself stop.
Oh, I find the opposite.
Yeah.
I find it's hard to start.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me to say like.
That's what I think. It's hard to start, but once you're in, it's easy just to keep going, right? That's for me.
No.
For me, it was just that's what it was. So I gave it up.
Yeah.
Right.
I really only have free time in the evenings, so like if I start a show at 10 and it's over at 11, like that's bedtime.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sacrifice bedtime for another episode of Stranger Things.
You're smarter than I am.
Which I'm still. I've watched 2 episodes and I know it's been out for like almost 2 months now.
So what I do is I buy DVDs of shows I know I'm like. I like Fringe.
Yeah.
I'm still on season 1.
Yeah.
I will eventually watch the rest of the series. I have it all.
Yeah.
But I'm on season 1.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to take my time to get to, because again, it's just priorities.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So and TV is just no longer a priority, and I realized, that I was giving up a lot of time that I could be productive, like writing, in watching TV, and even TV that was just a habit, not even that I loved and was so engrossed in. It was just like, oh, I've always watched this show, so I'm going to keep watching.
It's amazing how hard some people will fight to keep to their habits, even if they're not constructive, or worse, or even they're making them miserable.
Yeah.
So I mean, once you realize that you can save yourself a ton of time.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So now that evening time is my writing time. I'm not in the right headspace during the day often to be very
is there
productive as a writer.
That's okay. I mean, we all write at different points.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind my asking, why is it just your other priorities, or?
No, it's just I don't know. I track all of this stuff. Anytime I write, I write down how long I was writing, where I was, what time of day it was, and I look at all those different metrics and go when am I at my best? When am I not so great? And I just figured out a long time ago that writing in the morning, my brain is slow. I don't really like what I'm writing very much. I just don't feel alert and energized.
And that's totally fine. I write in the evenings too, but mostly because I still have a day job, and that it's more conducive. So my evenings are generally when I do my podcast, is like post my episodes or when I'm writing. And because if it's most time, now what I'll do on weekends because I have more time is I'll go to a cafe and write. Just get out of the house and just, you know.
Yeah. So, I don't know exactly why. I'm just not a morning person to begin with. Like I roll out of bed at 8:20 and we leave the house at 8:25 to take the kids to school. Like that's the kind of morning person I am. Like I'm still in my pajamas. I haven't brushed my teeth yet.
You don't particularly care. I'm not a morning person.
I don't.
I'm becoming more morning, but for me, my sweet spot is about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
That's my sweet spot. Because I earlier than that, I can do it. I don't. I'm like, right? Yeah. But I can do it.
Yeah.
But I know that as I get older, I think I'm going to become that morning person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm heading down that slippery slope.
Not me.
That's okay.
I think if it hasn't happened by now, it's really not going in that direction. And so that's fine. It's good to know these things about myself so that I can use my time most efficiently.
The majority of what we do is, we have to manage our time because we have to. So am I asking self-published or with a publisher?
Traditionally.
Yeah, traditionally. Yeah. Okay. So so especially with the traditional publish, you're part of a bigger machine.
Yeah.
And because of that, you have to figure out how to best serve that machine because it's not just about you, it's about all the people employed because of what you're providing.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. So for you, one of the biggest things I've noticed people that are really deep into traditional publishing, that's their biggest thing. It isn't. They do their words and they do their job, but they almost everybody I know that's in that point in their career, they're very incredible at time. They're very, very good at time management.
Yeah, and I am not good at time management. No, and I always just thought my whole life that I'm lazy, I'm disorganized, I'm not good at being on time and all this stuff. And then last year I was diagnosed with ADHD at 38, and that was a revelation for me because it's not me having all these negative flaws. It's my brain literally isn't structured that way. And I spent so much time being really mean to myself my whole life about what a bad person I am because I can't remember to drop something off at a friend's house, or I can't remember to pick something up at the store, and it turns out it's a memory retention problem.
Okay.
And it's inattentiveness. And so finding that out has helped a lot just in both understanding myself and also being nice to myself for probably the first time in my life. Where I can say I screwed this up, or I forgot about this. But it's not my fault, and I can learn how to think differently to get better at this.
The voices in our head are our worst enemies.
Totally.
They totally are. Because they. I'm pretty hard, right, on people I work with. So I'm not day job, but when I'm doing this, because I really care about this, but I'm even harder on myself.
Yeah.
If last night, I couldn't finish putting the podcast up. I was just too tired, right? I'm a little mad at myself, right? This is just I'm a little mad at myself for that. So when I go home, when we're done, I'm going to put that podcast up, right?
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where it's younger me would have been you should. Older me is you still should, but
it's going to be okay.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, with girls and ADHD, we have this, I guess we have this kind of image of ADHD where it's the little boy bouncing around in his desk and being a distraction and, being loud and disruptive and everything. And it's quite different in girls and women in that there isn't very often that kind of hyperactive element. It's more the kids who are always staring out the window, daydreaming instead of listening, or, tuning out completely and being in this whole different world. It's so easy to miss.
It's interesting because when I was that kid, I wandered everywhere.
Yeah.
And so my dad would in his umpteenth day would always go focus.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of it's kind of thing. Now for me, maybe I would have been diagnosed with ADHD at a younger age, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Now I just go, focus, and I can bring myself down. Also, I don't think you should feel so bad for yourself. Most people are procrastinators by their very nature. Yeah. It's not an ADHD thing. That's a universal. Do I really have to do this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's not so much procrastination. It's like forgetting that it existed in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like deletes itself from my brain before it has a chance to imprint.
So then it's completely short-term memory with you.
It's quite a lot of short-term memory.
Oh yeah. Okay, no, I get that. It's one of those things that's, so for you then, lists are important.
Lists are so important.
Yes.
Lists on paper, lists on my phone. I use like a big paper planner, and I put lists in my phone as well. And yeah, it helps. I have like mental checklists. One of my big kind of blocks when it came to writing is that I would have, this writing time, say 2 hours in the evening after kids are in bed and everything, and I would spend an hour and a half of that time like flicking through tabs on my laptop, or checking email, or like I got a text or whatever, and not actually writing. And it was because I didn't have like a mental checklist of this is what we do when we write, right? So
what is your mental checklist, if you don't mind? If it's not too personal.
I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's not personal at all.
Yeah.
Open laptop. Open outline. Open Word document. Start writing.
That's really simple.
Yeah,
I like it.
It is really simple.
Yeah.
But none of those things are check email, check Facebook, check Twitter, check Instagram, look at cat gifs or like whatever, going down this like weird rabbit hole.
And for me, that's YouTube. YouTube is the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So, and if I tell myself mentally that checklist before I start writing, I will just start writing.
That's your mantra.
But it's a skill that I had to learn at this age, whereas most people just naturally have that in their head, like, oh, I want to write, and then they just do it. But I have to like manually remind myself that if I want to do this, this is what I have to do.
I do feel this is just, again, it's not a big disagreement, just like a slight one. I do feel everybody does do this checklist. I think for most people it's just automatic.
It's automatic, yeah.
Right,
and for me it's very not automatic.
Which is which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Right? As like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you do it.
Yeah.
As long as you do it.
As long as you do it.
Right.
Yeah. But I can be gentler on myself when I don't remember to do the checklist, because I know it's not my fault, right? I don't know. And it's not an excuse. Like, it's not a way of just saying like,
I think the goal is like this. If 9 times out of 10 you do the checklist and not one time you missed it, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, it really isn't.
Right. It's more about momentum, like the idea of momentum. Like, you get yourself into as good habits as you can. Life will disrupt you. It's just how it works, right? But as long as you keep yourself going back into those rhythms, you're fine, right? It doesn't matter whether it's writing or anything, right, like that, right? So it's all,
Yeah, totally.
So it sounds like you. Well, you've been definitely figuring some stuff out in the last little bit.
For sure, and I've definitely seen like my productivity increase as a result of that.
Yeah.
Just in like how many words I write per month now is massive compared to what it used to be.
So what's more important for you, word count or the finish, like the stuff you finish?
Well, I mean, obviously, you need the word count to get to.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm just like I'm curious. I'm like, for me, it's not so much about the words.
Yeah.
It's about, I love that feeling of accomplishment. Like, hey, I got to this, or I finally got to that. And whether it's, I also write poetry, so my word count things will maybe sometimes a little different, right? So, but it's like one of those things where you just go, this is it. This is the thing, and. Did I get to this part today? No. How much did I accomplish? And sometimes I'll look at minutes when I look at word counts, like, well, you did write about 6,000 words. You didn't get there, but you
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I don't set myself specific goals for like, I expect to write X number of words per day, or I expect to write every day, or whatever. Or I want, I want my writing time to be like 2 hours or whatever. So I'm not that specific. I do try and set myself an end goal date. So like, I want to finish this book by this day, or this month, or give myself a bit of leeway there. And then just try and do my best to get to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've lightened up on yourself quite a bit in the last little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you happier?
Yes. Question mark?
Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I'm editing right now, so I'm not writing much new at all. So that's like a completely different brain process. So yeah, I think about it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But again, I have like an end goal. I want to be finished editing this version, this draft by the end of September.
Yeah.
And whatever I have to do to get there, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It sounds, like I said, in terms of self-improvement, very admirable.
Yeah.
Very, very admirable. So, just novels, or do you write other things as well?
I do not. Just novels.
Yeah.
I've never really felt kind of kindred to short stories. I've tried a couple, and I
understand.
Things get too big. They get too complicated. And I very much need to have like, a full outline in order to know where I'm going forward. So short story format doesn't really work for me. I work, like my day job is as the editor of a magazine, so I do a bit of writing for that as well. And I've had in the past like a freelance journalism career, like that's what my degree is in journalism. So yeah, that's kind of my writing life, I guess.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
So the plan is, I guess, all right, two questions, and I think we have a magical interview here, which is question one. Pardon me, chocolate ginger. Anyways, the question one is, do you see yourself saying, like, would you ever do indie publishing, or do you want to keep like a hybrid balance, or do you want to stay traditional as long as possible?
I prefer the traditional publishing path. I do like having support from other people who are more knowledgeable than me in things like, marketing and that sort of thing. And just, not having to worry about things like, cover design or placing books in different, like on Amazon and stuff like that. I don't have that knowledge. I don't have that skill set. I'm not a marketing person. So it's work that if I'm doing that, then I'm not doing writing.
No, I got you. No, I get you.
And I know that for a lot of people, the money is better if they indie publish. Like certainly your royalties are much higher and stuff like that.
It's a mix, right?
Yeah.
They're like.
I know for some people it's better one way or the other.
Yeah, like I know for me personally, like my goal is to be a hybrid. Mm-hmm. My About the Author thing with my first novel coming out is boxing a kitchen sink. Yeah. That's my About the Author.
Yeah.
I somehow feel a traditional publisher, while they might be laughing at it, would say no. Yeah. Me going, but I feel like for me, if I do as my independent stuff, it allows me to be like as crazy creative as possible and see what sticks and works. Yeah, totally. Like it's where I can experiment. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So when I go traditional and they go, well, we need this format, I'll be like, okay, I won't. It keeps my sanity up, for lack of a better term, because I'm better at playing well with others if I get that outlet for me somewhere. And that's me personally.
For sure. Yeah. And accountability to other people is also a big motivator for me. So if I know that I have, my editor and my publisher and everybody else, they're
absolutely.
counting on me
Totally.
for their income and, like to complete my work on time, that means it's more likely for me to actually do it. With something like self-publishing, like if I'm the only one that's ever counting on it, it might get put aside.
Absolutely. And knowing your discipline is is really like a good thing too. And by the way, I'm not criticizing traditional route at all.
Oh, no.
It's just like today more than anything else. It's just that option exists. Like there are viable platforms both ways now.
Yeah, and I won't say that I'll never do it.
Yeah.
Because maybe at some point I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a try, or maybe I'm writing something in a completely different genre that doesn't fit with where I am right now and everything, and be like, all right, well, slap a different name on it, self-publish it, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too, you have developed a following, right? If you ever did.
Little one.
Yeah, give yourself a little more credit than that, a little bit more credit than that, right? I mean, look, obviously you're doing something right. You're picked up by a publishing house, or you have books out, like in plural, not just singular, right?
No, just one.
Just one for now, but soon to be two.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, so me too. And you're in a magazine, like you have developed a reputation for yourself, at least in the industry, and that should be applauded.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Totally should be applauded.
Yeah, no, I'm not like putting myself down or anything.
Yeah.
But it's hard as a debut author from a small publisher, because I'm not with one of the big five, because there are a lot of books out there, and it's hard to kind of.
Well, that's why I do podcasts. That's why I do podcasts like this, right? So you get a sense of who you are, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's a platform. I'm popular. Anyways.
Yeah.
Last question.
Okay.
I truly believe that authors, when they are writing a novel, are telling a piece of their story.
Yeah.
So what piece of your story are you telling?
Okay. So are you familiar with #OwnVoices?
I'm not familiar, but educate me.
Okay. So Own Voices is a movement for people who are marginalized in some way to put their experiences in their work. And so, for example, it would be, someone from a racial minority writing about people in their race and their experiences. Not just people from that race, but what it's like to be that race. And so it also includes, people with physical disabilities and neurodivergence, which is where I fit in. So I include kind of aspects of that in all of my writing. Like in addition to ADHD, I also have panic disorder, which is basically like anxiety, panic attacks. And so I've included that. Like I've had main characters who have experienced panic attacks. And my book that I'm working on right now, the main character is a 17-year-old girl who finds out that she has ADHD as a part of her kind of journey. And so that's kind of how I put myself in my writing. Both, just to have that kind of alternate perspective, but also so that people like me feel represented in writing, right? They can see that, hey, here's a character who has panic attacks and I have panic attacks, and like they're not ruined by it. They're still strong, they still can push through and push forward. And I hope that resonates with people who are like me.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, Miss Nicole, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So with the book you're done, do you have an idea when that's coming out?
I don't.
Okay.
Because it's not, I don't have a publishing deal for it. It's just something that I'm working on right now. So, I would like to start querying it by the end of the year.
Okay, so I'll give you the option. You can promote your previous book.
Okay.
You can promote your work, the magazine you're working at.
Okay.
Or whatever you'd like.
Yeah.
Promote it, and then how people can find you.
Okay. So my debut novel is called Past Presence. It's a mystery about a woman who uses her ability to see people's past lives and she uses that to solve murders in a little seaside town that she's moved into. So it's got a little bit of everything for everyone. There's, that suspense, there's some historical aspects to it, there's a bit of romance, and then there's that just kind of hint of paranormal. So I think it appeals to a lot of different audiences. It came out in April. You can find it wherever great books are sold, Amazon, Indigo, all those places. And my website is NicoleBross.com.
There, and give me a second here.
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
And that was my conversation with Nicole Bross. Check out Past Presence, her current release, and hopefully more will be coming soon. Thank you, Nicole, for being on my show, and I hope you will come back at some point down in the future. You are always welcome. All right. So I'm just waiting basically for one thing for the Cloud Diver. And now I will have a release date. That's kind of where I'm at there. Check out my column at firstcomics.com. That's coming back up. This week I'm writing about A Tale of Two Great Packs. I'm reviewing both Swordmaster and Arrow, the first 6 issues of each. Really good stuff. I really enjoyed that line in Marvel. I just refinished Jade City by Fonda Lee. That's an awesome book. You should definitely check it out. I like it so much I got a hardcover of it. So it's really, really, really good. Yeah, like I said, all in all, this is the week I start chasing my dreams. And like I said, I'm doing some really cool stuff this week with interviews. I'm doing some other things as well I'll talk about later. But yeah, this is why I came out here. So let's see what happens. All right, on that note, that will do it for this episode. Just joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast. I am on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and of course Podomatic. You can do that. You can also support my sponsor, Indie Imprint. IndieImprint.com. If you are a small press, indie press creator, these guys help you. That doesn't matter whether you're a writer, video game producer, musician. These guys get involved in all these things. They're a great media company. They've definitely helped me out as well. For more information, check out IndieImprint.com. My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, are available at MirrorWolfPublishing.com. Definitely check them out there. My Twitter and Instagram is at jpenteleresco. My Facebook page is Joshua Penteleresco, author, podcaster. You can talk to me there, so come say hi. Leave reviews, share the word. Let's just keep getting this out there, guys, okay? All right. That'll be it. Talk to you guys next time.
Josh.